Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really digging into that frustrating, universal challenge, procrastination. And our guide is Darius Foroux's collection of essays, Do It Today.
Yeah, and this isn't just, another self-help book. It's more like a condensed philosophy. It's built from 30 articles, all hammering home this idea of turning excuses into action, meaningful action.
Right. And for you listening, our mission here is basically to give you the shortcut to Foroux's core thinking.
Exactly, because he grounds everything, every single piece of advice in this one really urgent reality. Life is finite. It's short.
And if you really grasp that, the next step seems unavoidable, doesn't it?
It does. The logic is you have to take immediate, meaningful action today because, well, who knows about tomorrow? So this dive is about showing you how to actually make that shift.
Yeah, the central message sounds simple, almost maybe. Too simple. Do it today. But we're going to unpack why actually living that requires a pretty profound internal change. We structured this around the three key pillars in the book. First, the foundation, that mindset shift.
Right. Second, the practical side, productivity strategies, things you can use right away.
Yep, the tactics.
And finally, the long view, building consistent growth. So let's start with that foundation, the mindset piece.
Okay. So the first step towards real change, Foroux insists, is this massive redefining of who you think you are, your identity.
How so?
He basically says, stop defining yourself by the external stuff. He puts it like, you are not your job, you're not how much money you have in the bank.
Okay, I find that really freeing, actually. But it immediately makes you ask, well, if you strip all that away, what's left? What does define us then?
Right. And the sources are clear on this. Your identity gets built by your choices, your actions, day to day.
So it's about how we choose to spend our time, that limited time we have?
Exactly. Are you reading? Are you exercising? Starting that project you keep putting off? Or maybe just being fully present with people you care about? Those actions, Foroux argues, that's what defines you.
And when you accept that actions build identity, well, then the whole procrastination problem looks different, doesn't it? It really does. Because procrastination, it's usually not about being lazy. It's more fundamental. It's about avoiding discomfort.
Discomfort.
Yeah. Growth means facing tasks that are, difficult or tedious or just uncomfortable. And our brains are kind of wired to duck those things.
So we waste energy debating whether to start instead of just starting.
Precisely. We're just pushing the burden onto our future selves.
Assuming.
Somehow they'll be magically more motivated or capable.
It reminds me of that Abraham Lincoln quote Foroux brings up. Something like, you cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today.
That quote is perfect, isn't it? It captures the pivot you need to make. From being passive, maybe blaming circumstances for why you're stuck.
Right, blaming external factors.
To this active mindset of just total ownership, discipline, taking responsibility for what you can control. He even shares stories about, like, his email system crashing right before launch. Yeah, but instead of melting down, he just pivots, starts writing something else he can control. That immediate controlled response, that's responsibility in action.
That distinction, the controlled response, that feels like the bridge to the next big idea. We talk so much about time management, but Foroux says the real goal isn't managing time. It's managing your attention, your focus.
Yes. And we really need to hear that loud and clear. Your focus, where you put it, that determines the quality of your life. Full stop.
We spend so much energy on time-saving hacks, the latest app, whatever.
Right, chasing the next shiny object.
Yeah.
But the real challenge is the quality of focus you bring to whatever time you do save. If your attention is all over the place, your work suffers, and you don't feel that sense of accomplishment.
It's like that Seneca quote, isn't it? We complain life is short, but we act like we have endless time to waste, squandering focus on trivial things.
Exactly. Think about it. 5 minutes, truly locked in on something important. It's way more valuable than 5 hours of just, scattered reactive work.
The whole game changes when you shift the metric from hours logged to intensity of attention.
It really does.
Okay, so speaking of squandered attention, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, the digital distractor, the smartphone.
Ah, yes. The book does not hold back on this one. It's a clear warning. Smartphones are not your friend.
That sounds pretty harsh. I mean, they're essential tools for most of us now, right? Work, communication.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's the tension. But the critique is based on, well, data. Studies suggesting the constant FOMO, the mental drain of just having the device nearby. It means some people actually prioritize it over real relationships.
Yeah.
It literally diminishes your attention just by being there.
So how do we square that? We need the phone, but it's also detrimental.
It's not about tossing it in the bin. It's about purposeful disconnection. And the strategies suggested are really practical.
Like what?
Like, don't turn off all non-essential notifications right now. Just calls, maybe critical messages, that's it. Limit the noisy group chats. And really, try to use your phone as a specific tool for learning, for connecting, not just this passive black hole for endless scrolling.
Okay, purposeful use. Got it. So if the smartphone is the external enemy of focus, what about the internal one? Perfectionism comes up a lot.
Ah, the perfectionism trap. Yeah, Foroux blunt here. Perfectionism is often just a mask for procrastination.
How so?
Well, it comes from anxiety, doesn't it? The fear of not hitting some impossible standard, the fear of failure or criticism. And what happens? You delay. You don't start. You don't finish.
That definitely hits home. You hold back on launching something, sending the email, because it's not quite ready, but really you're just avoiding potential judgment.
Exactly. So what's the antidote? He argues you need to balance that perfectionist urge with something else. Resourcefulness.
Resourcefulness. Explain that.
Resourcefulness is basically your ability to problem solve constructively when things don't go perfectly, and to manage your emotional reaction.
Okay, so instead of freezing when you get negative feedback.
Right. The perfectionist might spiral. The resourceful person looks at the feedback, maybe feels a sting, but then regulates that emotion and thinks, okay, how do I fix this? What's the next step? Resourcefulness allows action. Perfectionism often just leads to inertia.
This feels like it leads right into maybe the biggest practical takeaway from the whole book for me. Relying on a system instead of just willpower.
Yes, this is so crucial, and is where a lot of self-help advice kind of falls down. We massively overestimate our self-control.
We think if I just had more discipline.
Right, but relying on grit or hoping you'll feel motivated tomorrow, that's just unreliable. Willpower comes and goes, it gets depleted. A system, though, that's like a machine. It works whether you feel like it or not.
I like that, a machine. So how does a system help? Why not just rely on willpower?
Because a system cuts down on decision fatigue. Every single time you have to ask yourself, should I work on that report now? You use up a little bit of that precious willpower.
Okay.
A system removes the decision. So things like external accountability, telling someone your deadline, setting your own deadlines, and time blocking. That's a big one.
Time blocking, just scheduling specific tasks into your calendar, like appointments.
Exactly. Non-negotiable slots for important work. If it's on the calendar for 9 a.m. Tuesday, the decision's made. You just do it.
And rituals play a big part too, right? Morning routines, evening routines.
Definitely. Reviewing goals, maybe visualizing the next day's tasks. It preps your mind, reduces that, what should I do now, stress. So you're not waiting for some magic burst of motivation to strike.
To make this really concrete, let's look at that case study you mentioned from the sources, the goal of reading 100 books a year.
Yeah, it sounds huge, right? Maybe impossible. But it becomes doable because it's built on a system, not just enthusiasm.
Okay, walk us through the steps. It starts with the environment. Step 1, buy books in bulk. Create a library. Why?
It's pure behavioral psychology. You're making reading the easy option. If the books are just there staring at you, you lower the friction to actually picking one up.
Makes sense. Less effort involved. Then, step 2 is enforcing the always be reading habit, ABR.
Yep. Using those little pockets of time, waiting in line, commuting. Make it a daily, consistent thing, even if it's just a few pages.
Then step 3, only read relevant books. That keeps you engaged, I guess.
Exactly. Stuff you're actually interested in. And then step 4, which seems counterintuitive, read multiple books at the same time.
Really? Why?
It lets you match the book to your mood or energy level. If one feels like a slog, you switch to another. It keeps the momentum going. You don't get stuck.
Okay, that actually makes a lot of sense. And the final step for making it stick, retention.
Right. Don't just passively read. Retain the knowledge. Take notes. Highlight things. Engage with it actively. That turns reading from consumption into actual learning. That whole 5-step process. That's a template you can apply to almost any big goal.
Okay, so we have the mindset. We have the daily tactics and systems. Let's zoom out now to section 3, achieving more, the long game. Foroux has this idea that seems really helpful if you feel overwhelmed by huge goals, he says. Focus on knowing your direction, not necessarily a fixed destination.
Yeah, and that can be such a relief. If you don't know exactly what job title or revenue figure you want in 5 years, that's okay. Sometimes trying to fix that destination causes paralysis.
So instead, focus on the general trajectory, like what kind of contribution you want to make, what fields interest you.
Precisely. And accept that goals might change. They probably should evolve over time. It takes the pressure off hitting one single make-or-break target.
And what makes that long, sometimes winding path manageable is compounding.
Yeah.
The power of compounding.
Yes. Success isn't usually one giant leap. It's sequential. It's built block by block. So you focus on that steady daily progress, even if it feels tiny, like aiming for just 0.1% improvement each day.
That 0.1%, that feels achievable, but doesn't really add up.
That's the magic of compounding. It links back to Stoicism, actually, in a really practical way. That tiny improvement that's almost always within your control.
Unlike market trends or what competitors are doing.
Exactly. Worrying about that stuff is wasted energy. The practical Stoic approach is focus intensely on a quality of the next thing you can control, the next sentence you write, the next sales call, the next workout. That's controllable. And that consistency, it compounds massively over time.
So if you're in a period of real uncertainty, maybe between jobs or projects, the advice is to anchor yourself by working on universal skills.
Absolutely. Think of these as your safety net, or maybe your leverage. No matter where your career goes, getting better at these core skills always pays off.
What kind of skills are we talking about?
Things like self-discipline itself, communication written and verbal, negotiation, just general personal effectiveness, even physical strength and flexibility. Investing time in sharpening those core human abilities, that gives you an edge when opportunities do show up.
That makes sense. Build the foundation. Now, thinking about sustainability over that long game, the book also stresses the importance of a clear work-life boundary.
Crucial.
Focusing on productivity over presence. We need to push back against that culture where long hours automatically equal hard work. Right?
Oh, absolutely. It's such a trap. And a dangerous one for your health and actual output. Just because you're at the office from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. doesn't mean you were productive. Often it means you're distracted or inefficient.
The goal should be to get the important work done effectively within a reasonable time and then leave. Leave on time.
Yes, protect your health and your personal life. Because burnout doesn't help anyone in the long run. Compromising health for face time ultimately taints your productivity anyway.
Another mindset shift for the long haul that I found interesting was this idea of creation versus competition.
Ah, yes. Moving away from a scarcity mindset.
Explain that. Scarcity mindset versus...
The scarcity mindset assumes resources, opportunities, success. They're all limited pies. So you feel like you have to fight aggressively for your slice, compete hard.
Okay. And the alternative?
An abundance mindset. Focus on creativity, on creating new value, new opportunities, maybe entirely new pies. You're essentially building your own lane instead of battling for space in a crowded one.
I like that. Creating your own lane. And finally, when you step back and try to measure if this whole journey, this approach to work and life is actually fulfilling, what metrics does Foroux suggest? It's not just money or title, is it?
No, definitely not. He suggests looking at 3 specific things. First, your overall energy levels. Are you generally energized or drained? Second, your learning opportunities. Are you growing, acquiring new skills, whether at work or elsewhere? And third, the quality of your relationships. Those are the real indicators of a well-lived life, according to this framework.
Energy, learning, relationships. Got it. Okay, before we wrap up with final actions, we should pause for a moment of critical engagement. One of the core ideas is embracing uncertainty.
Right. Foroux argues that since life is unpredictable, you have to lean into that. Often big successes require taking leaps into the unknown.
And that resonates, that need for risk-taking. But we also need to acknowledge the flip side, don't we?
We do. For some people, that constant uncertainty isn't empowering. It's a major source of anxiety, stress. It can even lead to confusion or just freezing up inertia.
So if having a clear goal is what motivates action for someone, just being told to embrace uncertainty might not be enough. It might even be counterproductive.
Exactly. It really encourages you, the listener, to think critically about your own tolerance here. Where's your line between healthy risk-taking and paralyzing ambiguity? It's about adapting the philosophy, not just swallowing it whole.
That's a really important point about applying any self-help idea, finding what genuinely works for you. Okay, let's circle back to that final, maybe slightly strange mindset shift, living like you're immortal.
Yeah, it sounds totally paradoxical, doesn't it? We just established life is finite.
Right, so what's the logic there?
It's really about perspective. Adopting that immortal frame is meant to dial down the intense short-term pressure, that panic that can lead to bad decisions.
So it gives you patience.
Exactly. Patience to build a meaningful career steadily, to make contributions that last, to cultivate strong relationships over time, without that frantic need to achieve everything right now, this quarter, this year. It's the ultimate mindset for long-term compounding.
Okay, that makes more sense. So let's summarize the key actionable takeaways for everyone listening. First, stop obsessing about managing the clock.
And start managing your attention. Where does your focus actually go?
Second, stop relying on willpower because it's flaky.
And instead, build concrete, reliable systems and rituals that run almost on autopilot.
And third, prioritize those small, consistent daily actions, those little 0.1% improvements.
Because that's where the real, quiet magic of compounding happens over the long haul. Okay, so here's a final provocative thought for you to take away and mull over. If Foroux is right, and our true identity is really shaped by our actions today, how would it change things if you viewed developing a universal skill, say self-discipline or maybe communication, not as reaching some final destination, but as a process of endless mastery, something you work on continuously? How might that shift in perspective change how you approach practicing that skill? Maybe even starting this afternoon.
Endless mastery instead of a fixed goal.
Yeah. We invite you to just explore where that little shift might take you.